Evening everybody. A tale of two P2s. First P2 we're all going to recognise. I think we know what this one is. I've fitted a TTS sound chip to it, hence we have sound, which is rather nice. But it is the Hornby R3171 Cock of the North, Gresley P2. It's the Railroad locomotive. Very nice locomotive, I think, for the money, for the value. But this one I have enhanced a bit. So normally your standard P2 Railroad is quite green. But with this particular one I've painted the handrails so they're now in silver. I've changed the four main driving wheels for one of the SuperDetailed set of driving wheels, so now they are now lined. And I've painted in some of the brass work at various points on the locomotive. So if we zoom in there, just applied a little bit of brass or coloured paint to some of the bits of it. But I'm quite pleased with the way that's turned out. I've also some of the black plastic on the lens valve gear, pop-up valve gear, that was all black plastic, so I've painted that up a little bit just to give it a lift, and I think it looks all the better for it. It's the Railroad P2. Good value for money engine, good runner, and as you can hear it's got the TTS sound decoder, and I'm quite chuffed with that. I'll just turn the sound off for a second or two. So next on my list, coming into shot, we have a second P2, and this one is the SuperDetailed. Oops, a bit further. Come on. Okay, let's just zoom out a fraction. I'll make sure it's in focus. So this one, as you can see, is the SuperDetailed version of the P2. It came unboxed actually. I got it in an auction. It was a lot of 3 LNER locomotives. There was the P2 as you see it, there was the C1 Atlantic, and there was a B1. The B1 was a bit rough and ready, so I sold that, but I've kept the Atlantic and I've kept the P2. So this is the SuperDetailed version. Basically it is the same engine, however, if we just zoom in on a couple of things, the paintwork is somewhat of a higher quality, lots more white lining. There's sort of like 3D relief on the LNER on the 2007 numbering, and as you'll notice, this is numbered 2007 because it's been renamed Prince of Wales. So although when Hornby made this particular locomotive it would have been Cock of the North, SuperDetailed version, I got it renumbered and renamed by TMC to be 2007 Prince of Wales, which is a new build P2. This is not the new tooled Hornby P2 Prince of Wales. This is the old Cock of the North tooling from 15 years ago or whenever it was first produced. But I always thought it looked good in SuperDetailed because I already had the Cock of the North. When I got this one as part of a batch job, unboxed, it was, you know, nice. But I thought, I'm not going to have 2 Cock of the Norths, I'll get this one renumbered. It was inexpensive enough to justify that, so I'm quite chuffed. previous owner of this one actually added buy-ins on the front and a real coal load on the back, which I'll just show you in 2 seconds. So, just to point out a few of the differences between these two. First off, on the railroad, we have metal buffers. On the main railways one, they're plastic. The main railways one has a bit more of a detailed front buffer beam lining around the outside, as well as the number on the front. The railroad version of the same locomotive doesn't have the lining, but it still has the number on the front. 2001, 2007. Previous owner has put, as you can see, lamp buy-ins on the front of this particular locomotive. I did buy it second hand, hence the reason it was relatively inexpensive. The railroad one I did buy brand new, but when I got it, it would be, crikey, 3 years ago. Managed to pick it up for about £80, I think, which was a bit of a bargain. As you can see here, in both cases, they've got very nice, at least I think they're very nice, handrails running down the sides. With the railroad version, I have painted them in silver. Normally they would be green. In fact, the whole side of it would be green apart from the boiler banding. I've also, on the railroad, I've painted the front of the cylinders, so it matches very much like the super detailed version of the locomotive. When all said and done, there isn't a great deal of difference between these two. The front pony wheel is plain green on the railroad, has lining on the super detailed one, but other than that they are the same front pony. Single axle, just 2 wheels. If I move the Prince of Wales further forward, they're all good runners, these. This particular unit has had a real coal load fitted, so that is quite a nice little enhancement. And as you can see around the cab, there's quite a bit more lining to it. I have to say though, I'm very pleased with both of these particular locomotives. They both run equally well. Their mechanisms are identical. Neither of these were originally factory fitted with TTS sound. The Prince of Wales is just a normal decoder. The Cock of the North, the railroad behind, happens to be the one with TTS, just because I managed to pick up the TTS decoder long before I had the Prince of Wales. So the Cock of the North was the only P2 I had. When I got the P2 TTS decoder, in she went. And it does run, to be fair, I think it runs rather quite well. Now the sound decoder in this is your standard Hornby TTS, but I have changed the speaker for a sugar cube in a low profile cube to fit into the actual locomotive. Neither of these two locomotives have pickups in the tender. The tenders are just the simple tender you get on effectively like a railroad locomotive. No electrical connection. The 8-pin socket is in the body of the locomotive itself. So the railroad one, when we look at especially on the cab side, probably where it loses out more than anywhere. A lack of lining, very simple plain lettering, but it still has the glazed windows. It's quite nice. Again, these handrails down the side of the cab and so forth on the normal railroad model are all green, but I've just picked them out with silver paint. Just makes it look that little bit better. On both models you get brass safety valves, and the skylights on the top of the roof are open in both cases. They're not movable, they are fixed. Okay. The super detailed Hornby P2, Prince of Wales. Somebody's, I'm saying somebody, previous owner, because I did get second hand, has painted the back head. I fitted the figures, but the painted back head was done by AN Other. They've done a quite nice job, to be fair. Now the Railroad version doesn't have that. It's still got the plain black plastic back head, but I may get round to painting it as well. It does make a difference. I do quite like a picked out cab interior, but that's one for the future. As for now, this is the only one with that particular feature. And I think from here, if we just adjust the focus, you can see the coal load there. Real coal. It's nice touch. Okay. Next we'll come to the test pull. How many coaches can it pull? The Black 5, my new Hornby Black 5, I tested a few weeks ago. I think we got up to 11 coaches, comfortable with 10, but wheel slipped a bit at 11. I'm expecting this to pull a lot more. Fairly obviously, it's got 4 main driving wheels, so I've set it up with the 10 coaches as a starter. Same coaches as the Black 5, so comparable test. And I can't really see much wheel spin there. And that is with the same 4 BR coaches followed by teaks. Okay, we've added 2 coaches, we now have 12. How does she cope with that? Very well. Okay, 14 coaches. No, still can't see any wheel slip. Well folks, we're now up to 16 coaches. Is there going to be any wheel spin with 16? Nope. Okay, 18 coaches. Oh, I think there's a little bit of wheel slip there. Just a little bit of wheel slip. Yeah, there is. Okay, 20 coaches. And there we go. To be fair, she's pulling them, and that is a lovely wheel slip. Very controlled. But as you can see by the speed of the coaches, she is she accelerating them? Just about. But I think we'll stop her there. I think enough's enough, because basically the train is that long, it's pulled off the coaches coming around the corner at the end. I think we've reached our limits there, guys. So there we go. I think we'll leave it there. 2 P2s and a little LNER G5 NER Class O. They are good models. If you get one, I hope you enjoy them. It'd be interesting to see when they actually produce the new P2 2007 Prince of Wales, when it comes out the factory, whether or how good these models capture that particular locomotive. As they stand, I think they are a very good model of that particular locomotive. The new one that Hornby produced obviously seems to get all the plaudits and is a very, very good model, but it costs an absolute fortune. So I'll stick with my slightly cheaper second-hand, well, new in the case of the Railroad, but second-hand in the case of the SuperDetailed one. I'll stick with those for now, and I'll enjoy them. So, hope you like the video. Until the next time.